Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading channel. My name is Skye.
And I'm Susan. How are you today?
I'm good, Susan. How are you?
I'm really good. It's a Monday. We had a long weekend, not a long weekend, but like in the 2 days, it felt like it had been like six. So I'm glad to be back in our routine.
I was gonna say, I think we're both. I had a kind of the opposite weekend, which is unusual for us having nothing, but very much appreciated. But there's always something really special about getting back on your routine and having that routine that you know exactly what you're gonna do and not wondering, like, is it gonna be a good day? Because you know you're setting yourself up for a good day with the routine you've created.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
Exactly.
Let's talk about confidence. That's our topic of the day. I actually had a moment this weekend where I don't usually think about my confidence, like not on a day-to-day basis. I think I definitely embody it, but it's not something I'm conscious about anymore. Um, and you saw the dress I wore to the wedding. So we went to a wedding this weekend and I got this dress, obsessed with it. Like it's so good. But it does have a plunging neckline, which I don't ever wear anything like that. And so I remember I looked at Chris and was like, "Do you think it's too much?" And he was like, "Absolutely not," because obviously, like, he's my husband. He loved every part of it. And so we walk into the wedding, and there's probably like 100 people there. And at first, I remember be like, I could feel my shoulders caving in, and I was like, "I shouldn't have worn this dress." And I heard a voice in my head. It was my own voice, and I was like, "It's okay to be the most confident person in this room right now." And I that like changed everything. I like stood up straight and I smiled. And you know what, Sky? Strangers gravitated towards me. People were asking where my dress was from. People were asking me what I was drinking. Like people wanted to talk to me. And it was because if I would have been like very uncomfortable and just quiet and like not confident, no one would have like approached me. They would have been like, look at this scared, shy little girl. Like, we're going to leave her alone. But instead, just the way you present yourself sets the bar for how people come to you. And like the other thing that kind of went with that is like kind girls are confident because I was smiling at all these people and these women were coming up to me and like asking me like, "Oh my god, what are you drinking? Where'd you get the dress?" It was just like I had never had an experience like that where people gravitated towards me. And it was all because I changed my mindset and was just like, we're going to be the most confident one in this room.
And I love so much about this and the fact that it just goes along with this so perfectly because you knew you looked good in that dress and you felt good in that dress, but you were still worried about wearing it out in public, even though you felt
Yep.
good. Because I get if it was like, I don't know if I like the way I look in this, then that's a different topic. But you knew you looked good and you were yet still concerned about wearing it out, and you change your mindset and you straighten your shoulders and you I don't know if manifest is the right word, but you almost decided like I'm going to act I
Like I
want
almost.
to. Yeah. And then people saw you in the way that you were portraying that you were confident and you liked the way you looked. So people saw that instead of you saying, "Oh, I'm shy." I like and then no one would have come up to you.
I had actually packed a shawl and I had it on for like the first 3 minutes. And then I ditched the shawl. I shoved it in my purse. And I was like, we're not doing that. We're not hiding under a piece of fabric. Like, it's warm enough in here. Let's just wear the dress as is. And it was awesome. Obviously, I'm not saying like the dress gave me superpowers, but the dress put me in a situation where I was like in my hotel room, I was owning that thing. And then we got out in public and I got timid because of what I thought other people were going to think. And then I was like, if I just own it, people are going to love it. Like, they're not going to be like, oh, like, what is this girl wearing? Like, no, what is this girl wearing? Like, she looks hot.
Body language. Body language was something I had on my list of things to
Yes.
talk about with confidence because it really makes a huge difference. And the example that you brought up could not be more perfect for this, but it really makes a huge difference because you will you will show people how you want them to treat you. So if you're closed off, people aren't going to come up to you, and you will, if you act confident, people are going to assume you're confident. If you act shy, people are going to assume you're shy. So if you walk around in any situation in life and you're, "Oh, I don't look good today," or, "Oh, I'm so stupid," or this or that, or whatever you feel and act, that's what people don't make up things on their own. these ideas from things that we do, and it's not coming randomly from their head. They're not going to look at you and say, that girl in the dress, she looks like whatever. If you look good, people are going to see it, and that's what they're going to react to.
The other thing is, like, if you're sitting there having that negative conversation in your head, your facial expressions are going to show that. You're going to look miserable, or you're going to look negative, or you're going to have a negative aura to you. Like, I made the decision before the ceremony even started that it was okay to be confident and it was okay to love my own dress. And because I was having that like positive self-talk, I had a positive vibe. Like, I guess that's the best way to describe it. Because then I had a softer smile, and I was directly smiling at people, and that made me approachable. And then I got to have those conversations. Like, if I would have acted the way I did when I first stepped into that room, I wouldn't have had conversations with anyone. I wouldn't have danced that night because we didn't know anyone there. But I made friends and we had the best night.
Yeah, it's perfect. It really is. I love that example. I wanted to go back. You said kind girls are confident girls, and I think we touched on that when Kind is Never Wrong was first launched, but we have to go back to that because you're so right in that, because if you look kind, you look confident. If you look mean and closed off, people are not, and you're not looking confident for other people. I think we should make that a point. And everything that Susan's saying is that you wanted to be and look confident for yourself because you had a better night because of it. And because of that, people came up to you. So it's just this amazing butterfly domino effect of all this goodness that happens when you look and feel confident and you're nice. And then you looked nice and approachable, and then you got to have these conversations with people and show them that you are nice and approachable, and it's just perfect. I love everything about that story.
Me too, honestly. It was the like most me I had felt. And it's just I think sometimes confidence can come off the wrong way too. Like, I think some people assume like if you're confident there's a coldness to you, and I think that that's just a connotation that I had had. But you can walk into a room and own a room and be the kindest person in the room. You don't have to be like necessarily a stereotypical boss and like come in and like command the room. You can still own the room, and you can actually, that's it. You can control the room with kindness because that sets the tone, and people are going to follow in your footsteps. If you're confident, people are going to follow your lead. Like, you're just being a leader.
Yeah, yeah, it
Literally.
is. No, and a good leader is a confident and kind leader. And being kind doesn't mean you let people walk all over you or anything of the sorts. A kind leader knows how to say no in a kind way. A kind leader knows how to direct people in a polite and respectful way to do the things that need to get done. And it makes me think of kind of a different situation, but we were at a restaurant when my parents were here a few weeks ago, and we didn't have a reservation. We don't speak the language. We walked in, and there's 5 Americans that walk into this Italian restaurant, and we could either play it one way and clearly not get seated and get the Italians all pissed off, or we could do what we ended up doing. And we walked in, we had these big smiles on our faces. We were so happy to be there. We were trying to speak the language, did what we could to piece together enough of a conversation. And the waitress obviously knew that we were not Italian, switched to English, her own choice, which we were grateful for, and immediately was like, "Oh yeah, I have a table right here for you." We were like, "Thank you so much." Next couple comes in, they're speaking to her, and she's like, "No, sorry, I'm full, no tables." And it really is the smallest things where if you treat people with kindness and you treat, that could be a whole nother thing, is treat wait staff like they're people, because you see way too many situations where that doesn't happen. You walk in with confidence that this is going to work out. We're going to get a table. We're polite and we're kind and we're grateful, and it happens. And it's just mindset and body language and the way you hold yourself really can make or break any situation. In I mean, there's a wedding example and there's a restaurant example. Like, it literally, like, in any situation,
Yep.
confidence is everything.
Absolutely.
It really
The
is.
other thing is, like, if you're, let's say you're not in like a wedding, like you're dressed up, it's a very different vibe than if you're running to the bank or you're running to the grocery store. You can have this, like, you can own any room you walk into. It doesn't have to be a formal event to be like, oh, I'm gonna own this room. Like, no, you can walk into a gas station and own that gas station, simply by being kind. So my 3 go-tos, like when I walk into a room and I want either I don't think attention's the right word, but I want the confidence, and like if someone were to notice me, I'd want them to be like, that girl's confident. I walk in, head up, smile, like just genuinely smile. You don't have to like show your teeth, but you can like softly smile at people. And don't look at your phone. The first thing, like the comfort thing, is to bury yourself in your phone. That's not a confident girl. Like, just look around. Like, you're allowed to look around the room. You're allowed to see what's going on. And I think that that makes such a difference. And eye contact. Like, if you're having a conversation with someone, don't just be like looking off. Like, direct eye contact and actually listen. And that just goes such a long way. Especially, like, not just for them, because then they feel heard, but for you too. Like, just be a decent human being and like make eye contact and listen when someone speaks.
Yeah. No, it's you're so right. And it's so funny because I literally wrote down speak up in groups, smile, have good posture, dress in ways that make you feel good, don't apologize, and speak clearly. And those are so many of the same things. And that's really, and I was going to try and save this to the end, but it's way too fitting to put it in right now is that you fake it until you believe it. So many more times than you would think, confident looking people are just people acting confident.
Yep.
And that's all
It's
you have to do.
muscle
Yep.
it's muscle memory. Like it's just like riding a bike. Once you figure it out, once you figure out what works for you can't unlearn that. You just perfect it.
Yep. And even if you feel you put on this face and you're like, I'm going to be confident in this situation, and you go and you do it, and then after you're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted, and that was so hard for me. And like, there are so many, and I read about these different leaders and different people in like the public eye that are like, I'm not confident at all, I'm so shy, but they put on this persona to go and do it and give off that confident aura, and then they go back and hide and they're like, okay, now I can be my introverted self. And that's really all it is it's just an act in a good way,
Yeah.
but it is.
It's very similar to public speaking in a way. It's how you hold yourself and how you want people to see you.
Yep.
I've public spoken in front of hundreds of people before, and like it's no, it's not fun. It's not something I like actively go out to do on a daily basis, but you can put on the face, take a deep breath, and just take it moment by moment because it's going to be okay. And at the end of the day, just always act like you're talking to one person, because if you're even if you're trying to get a big message out there, you're trying to resonate with each individual. So if you just talking to one person and that's it.
And that makes it less scary too. Like it's a better approach anyways, but it makes it less scary instead of saying, hey, I'm talking to 300
Yeah.
people, I'm just talking to one friend.
So I think a good place to start, like if you're like, let's say you want to work on your confidence. I started my confidence, like learning how to be confident in the mirror, because you're a direct reflection of who you are. But you can practice all of these things that we've even like brought up today. You can do this in the mirror. You can stand a little taller. You can smile. You can make eye contact with yourself. Like you can mirror what you want and see like what looks good on you. Like do you feel most confident in jeans, or do you feel most confident in a workout outfit? I don't care what you like, whatever it is, but just figure out what you love and what makes you feel good. I think at the end of the day, our whole mission with Dream Life Loading is to help give the tools you need to feel good most of the time.
Yeah.
And I just figure out what works for you.
I think starting with yourself and looking in the mirror and doing these exercises, that's the hardest part. So starting there,
It is.
it's no one else is going to look at you and spend as much time thinking about what you're doing or what you're wearing or what you're saying as you do. We are our biggest critics. We think about ourselves way more than we think about anyone else, and that's just human nature. So when you walk into a room, you're going to be confident and you're going to act like you own the place in the most respectful and kind, gracious way that you can. And that's all anyone around you is going to see. They're not going to see if you trip a little bit or if your dress had this one little tear or whatever it is. No one's going to be paying attention to you because they're worrying about the same things about themselves that you're worrying about you. And that was a huge
Also, the other
thing for me.
Yeah. The other thing that goes into this is once you know your value, that honestly passes as confidence. Because I had an instance with a job where I was hired and they gave me the pay rate, and I never thought I would say, no, that doesn't work for me. And I was like, you know what? Like that really doesn't work for me. Worst case, they're gonna say no if I ask for a raise. And I asked for a raise, and I remember he asked me, he said, why? And so I had literally, the first thing out of my mouth was, I know my value. And then I listed off 10 different reasons why I deserved more pay. And he met me where I wanted to be met. He like, if you own it and you give someone, like, this is a good example. This is kind of a little off base, but also not. Anytime you're asking for something, give X, Y, and Z why you deserve it, because then whoever you're asking has to say no, no, no. It sucks to be the guy saying no 3 times in a row, especially when you have good reason and you have someone standing in front of you saying, I know what I deserve. So if you just have that confidence, and I'm not saying confidence got me a raise by any means in that instance, but it got me further than if I would have just said, okay, I'll take that, whatever they had started with, like it
Yeah.
goes a long way. Like you deserve it for yourself to be confident and know your worth and to project that, because
And I
people
think
will meet you where you want to be met.
there's too many situations where people think that that would be rude, or oh, I don't want to offend them, or oh, I don't want to upset someone by like wearing this outfit that I feel like I look good in because I don't want to make someone else feel worse, or I don't want to tell my boss I deserve a raise because he might be mad at me, or this and that. No, people respect confidence. You're not being rude by saying you deserve a higher pay. You're not being rude by wearing the outfit that makes you feel best, or by saying no to going to an event that you don't want to go to. You're not being rude by standing up for yourself and proving your worth. You're not disrespecting anyone. You're respecting yourself, and you're respecting other people by showing that respect to yourself.
And it also set the standard for how I wanted to be treated. Like with that job, I had officially set, like, I know
Yeah.
what I'm worth. And I know that I know what I want from an employer at the time, before we had our own business going here. It was very simple. It was, you just have to speak up
Yeah.
and
Yeah. That
everything
really, it's a
will
huge
fall in
part of
place.
it. Yeah.
Um, and again, the worst thing that they can say is no. I mean, sure, I mean, in some instances, if you're rude about it, then like you could lose your job. But if you're just inquiring and you're stating facts, like the worst thing they can do is say no.
Yep. And
And
that's
if
not,
they're saying no, in the famous words of Kris Jenner, you're asking the wrong person.
yeah. Yeah. But I love that you're right. You set the tone for how that job was going to be before your first day even started, because they knew like, okay,
Yeah.
Susan knows her worth. Like we can't push around Susan. Like that other guy, we learned we can push around because he never says anything, but not Susan. Like you decide how people are going to treat you. And like obviously there's situations, but all in all, especially when you're meeting new people and in new situations, you will set the tone for how they treat you, be from how you treat yourself.
Yep. 100%.
I wanted to talk a little bit about comparison. I don't want to go into a lot of it because we did a ton on the last episode, but there were a few thoughts I had on comparison because if you want to be confident, I think the first thing you have to do is stop comparing yourself to other people. That's like step one. And for me, I think social media can be so positive, but it can also be so, so, so negative, especially with confidence. Because if you're constantly relying on the approval and the likes from other people, that can't be what you rely on for your self-worth. You have to look from within. So I think for me, I turned off likes on Instagram like a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years ago now, whenever that feature first started. And I remember it was honestly horrifying how much I would look at how many likes a photo was getting on Instagram. And the second I turned it off, I was like, I stopped caring about what time of day I posted. I stopped caring about the photos I posted. It wasn't like, oh, well, this one might get me more likes. no, I posted the one I want to, and I don't even look at the likes anymore. It's just changing your perspective on things and doing things for yourself and not for what you think other people will say. Life changing. So Instagram was kind of like a place I started with that, and it made a huge difference for me.
And not letting your goals or your expectations, especially with confidence, be compared to someone else. Because the way, like you and I, for example, the way you walk in and like control a room or have confidence is going to be look different than the way I do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with either of our approaches. It's just whatever makes us feel the most comfortable and the best.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be different. And you
Yeah.
can't compare the two. It's not like we both walk into a room and we're clearly being confident and I'm like, oh well, Skye did that wrong because she didn't do it the way I did it. Like that's just not how it's not how it works.
Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of segues into my next topic is that you're not always going to be able to pick who you surround yourself with because there's situations where you can't control it. But in so many situations, you get to decide who you're going to give your energy to and who you're going to allow the gift of getting to know you. So don't pick people or don't allow people that bring you down. And I feel like Susan and I both have had these situations where you realize that someone is not supporting you and making you feel like the Instagram likes is that it's that same draining feeling of, oh, well, what if this person doesn't like what I'm doing? It's the same thing. So I cut out the Instagram likes, you cut out the people. You have to put yourself first. Cut out the toxicity and only surround yourself with positive people that want you to be confident and want to like reward your self-confidence.
Seek your own approval.
Yeah.
Do it yourself.
Yep.
You don't need to be looking to or for anyone else.
Yep. And I
So
think the people that you can say, like, oh my gosh, I love this thing I did for myself or this outfit I wore, whatever it is. And the people that say, I'm so happy for you or, oh, I'm so proud of you for doing that versus the people that are like, oh, really? Like, are you sure you like that? And I think you could probably pick nope. I just told you I like this. So why are you going to try and tell me something different? That's like the easiest difference in supportive people and toxic people. And that's, you got to cut them out.
we could have a whole episode on that alone.
Oh, yeah. Easy. And it's a really important thing, but it's also hard to say, like, this is a family member, a friend, a significant other, whatever it may be, but you have to make those choices for yourself that are going to be hard in the moment, but it's going to be better in the long run.
Absolutely. Yep. Then I will wrap up with my last one. Dance like no one's watching. I used to not dance. Like I'd go to school dances and I'd just kind of like stand there. And obviously when you're in grade school, it's a little bit different. But I dance like nobody's watching. We go to weddings and I dance. Like life is too short not to dance. And it doesn't matter what you look like because if you're out there having fun, people don't care what you're doing. They just care that you're having fun. And I think that that's kind of the key to confidence is just do what makes you happy. Do what makes you feel good. And you can't go wrong.
Confidence is infectious and same like I'm thinking about like seeing someone dancing and I don't like whether their dancing is good or bad, but you see how happy they are and it's like, okay, that now like that energy is so infectious because now you're like, oh, I want to dance and I want to feel that happiness that they're feeling. And that it went along perfectly is that the phrase like I always hear it with TikToks about like starting at the gym. I don't know why that's how it shows up for me, but like when you're first starting out at the gym, you deserve to take up space. And that's something I kind of remind myself of is that this is everything we've been talking about is you don't need like Susan, you don't need to walk into a room and hide and put your shawl on because you're afraid of X, Y, and Z. No, you deserve to take up space. So that can kind of sum up confidence as a whole too is you can dance like no one's watching in the center of the room because you deserve to take up space.
Exactly. Yep. Love it. That's a really good note to end on.
Yes.
Okay, favorites.
All right. You first.
Okay, so my physical favorite actually is not here, but it's our self-love collection that's dropping on 2/17, which happens to be my birthday. It's adorable and I'm obsessed and I can't wait. My stuff is already mailed. It should be here this week and I can't wait to show you.
I can't wait to see it. There's like this one. We've been calling him like our little man. Did we? We did name. We'll announce it later, but it's so special, and I think it's the perfect little reminder of loving yourself and just really cute stuff. So it's like a good message, and it's cute.
You can't go wrong with that.
You can't. My physical favorite, I was looking back trying to decide what my physical favorite would be and realized that I never had this as a favorite. And I was like, this needs to be included. Is my adventure challenge book. I know. I looked back. I don't think I've ever had it in an episode, but my brother got this for me for my birthday. So early December we've had it since then, and this is the adventure challenge is the brand, I guess, and then dinner dates was the one Lucas picked for Nick and I. And basically the whole idea behind these is like fun dates or fun activities for couples. So this one's cool because it's all dinner dates, so it's all things you're going to cook together and you don't know what the recipe is. So it gives you like the picture sometimes is a clue about what it's going to be, but then you pick based on like how much it would cost to buy the ingredients and how long it would take, and then there's a little challenge that you do with it. And once you decide like, okay, this one fits enough of the criteria that we want to do, you scratch off for the challenge and then you rip here for the recipe that's inside. So I can show just to kind of so yeah, this one we did and you can see like it opens up for the recipe and then the little challenge was here. But we have been loving this. The challenges are so fun and it's just like a nice way to connect in a new way. And it's just, you kind of decide like we're going to cook together and we're going to turn off our phones or keep them on if the challenge says to, whatever it is. But just challenges are all like a little funny and we've been loving it. And the recipes are fun and for the most part, they're really easy to follow. So yeah, I love the adventure challenge. I would love to get like other books from them and stuff too. So I really recommend them for a gift or anything like that.
We got the date night one and we haven't done it yet because we have been so busy, but we are excited to try it. So I'll let you know how date night one goes. We should do an episode on long distance relationships because we've both been in a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
Or just relationships in general too, but specifically start there.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay, spiritual favorite. Mine is definitely that it's okay to be the most confident person in the room. That changed my entire night on Saturday because I mean we already went over it, but you get the gist. Like you can be the most confident person in the room and you're not going to hurt anyone. Like you can feel the best you can possibly feel and not hurt a person and just be kind and friendly and make new friends or attract new people. Like it was a really cool feeling. It was like I was the person I had looked up to my whole life on Saturday because I am a very quiet person, or I think I was a very quiet person. I don't think I'm really a quiet person. I think I am more extroverted than I gave myself credit for. And instead of letting my social anxiety just like run that night, I was just like, no, I'm going to choose confidence and happiness over that. Thanks. But that's saying, try it out. Let me know how it goes.
It's awesome.
It did wonders for me.
You said something that made me think of this other concept with confidence. You being confident doesn't mean someone else can't be confident. And I don't want to go into a whole other tangent. I know we're at the end of the episode, but I think that can be a thing too, is that if people say like, oh, I don't want to take up all the confidence in the room. No, there's an unlimited supply of confidence. So you being confident doesn't stop anyone else from also being confident. So I love it.
I would love to be in a room of just like full of confident women. Oh, chef's kiss. Like that sounds like the best night. Think of all the things you could learn and all the things you would like get to know about these people. It would just be, it'd be a fun night.
Well, because it would be a room full of women that aren't afraid to say what's on their minds and say all the amazing things.
Say hi.
Yeah, that too. Yep.
There's so many times where I want to like befriend someone and I just sit there like awkwardly staring at them because I don't know how to be confident enough to say hi. Like that's all you have to do is you literally just have to say hi 9 times out of 10. And most of the time I feel like they want to be your friend too. Like a lot of the friends I have now, we were in situations where we ended up like we had encountered each other a couple times, and then we got put in a social situation. It was like, I've wanted to say hi to you for so long, but I just didn't like. Honestly, it boils down to confidence. I didn't have the confidence to say hi to you.
Mhm.
I mean, imagine if you and I would have like actually talked the first day we met. We would have got like a whole half semester more together.
Seriously. Yeah. It makes me think like first moving here, I sat alone at the hockey games for the first month and a half because I like saw the girlfriends and I was like, "Oh, I can't just go up and say hi." And it took one of the boyfriends coming up with his girlfriend and saying, "You should sit with them at the next game." Because I just was so stubborn and like worried. It was a lack of confidence for sure. So it really like look what
I
could have.
remember I remember when I call them your little Italian friends, but I remember when you made your friends with the girlfriends because Mr. Rob was asking. He like asked the next day, and I was like, actually, yeah, she went to the game with them, and we were very proud that you were making friends.
It's hard. That honestly, I think we should stop here on this because a whole episode on making friends post grad.
We're doing it. Done. Put it on the calendar.
Okay, my spiritual favorite. Um, Setting yourself up for success. We talk about this a lot, but this is such a form of self-care and confidence, and mm, not as much confidence actually, more just it's a form of self-care. We talk about this all the time, but I was thinking like you set yourself up for success in so many different situations, in so many different ways. Like doing the dishes before bed, like you've been doing your 10-minute cleanup, that is setting yourself up for success the next morning, self-care. Saving money, that's setting yourself up for success in the future for all the things you want. Reading, you're setting yourself up for success by learning new things and being able to discuss these things or the book with new people, whatever. Exercising, setting yourself up for success because you're going to be healthier and more confident and all these things. So, yeah, spiritual favorite is setting yourself up for success as a form of self care.
I love that. Like I really love that.
Well, my other physical spiritual favorite
Okay.
is the self love playlist that we have to talk about.
Yes, because we keep forgetting.
I know. I was like, I wrote it down. I was like, we're not going to forget to talk about it today. But this was a playlist that Susan and I created a week and a half ago now, 2 weeks ago. Um,
Yeah.
but it's on Apple Music and Spotify, and it's just all the songs that make us feel confident and put you in a really good mood, like make you remember to love yourself. I think, I don't know what other way to say it, but it's a really good playlist.
There it is on Apple Music. With our